Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Womansplain. This week, we have an incredible sister duo and co-founders of COCOLAB, the most exciting brand in oral care, Dr. Chrystle and Cat Cu. We're super excited for this one. So we're going to pass it over to them to do a little intro and then dive into their story.
Thanks. Well, Crystal's my dentist, which explains really most of how and why we're here. My mom's also a dentist, but hey guys, I'm Kat, Crystal's little sister and her patient. And more recently, as of the last 11 years, co-founder.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Chrystle Cu, Kat's older sister, and I am a general dentist from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, California. And yeah, we've kind of just been on this journey, this COCOLAB journey for the past over a decade. It's been really fun.
I know.
You guys have amazing teeth. So
yeah, amazing teeth, beautiful smiles. So you're a great commercial for dentistry. Honestly, and always love having two Bay Area girls on. I'm also from the Bay, so love it. So I would love to kind of go back. I know COCOLAB has been on a long journey, and you guys actually have recently had a ton of growth. But would love to kind of go back to the beginning. I know back in 2014, I believe Chrystle was running her own dental practice, realizing that flossing was just not cool and decided to rebrand it. So tell us a little bit of how that sort of sparked COCOLAB and how Kat became involved.
Yeah, so I started practicing dentistry full-time in 2008. And within a few years of my practicing, I started to, one, I did really well for myself, which was awesome.
Yeah, dentists do great. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's super hard job. So you deserve it. But
yeah, it was hard. But I basically started my own practice out of this one chair I used in my mom's practice. So I built my own practice within hers.
Amazing.
Did really well there. And within a few years of me being full-time in practice, I completely booked my schedule. People were having to wait 4 to 6 months for an appointment with me.
Wow.
And it became like this maddening situation wherein I didn't even have enough time in the day to treat my patients for the things that they needed.
Wow.
And so I became totally obsessed with this problem, the fact that over half of all adults have some form of gum disease, and that tooth decay is the most prevalent chronic disease among my patients and globally. And
my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
and I also that most of my patients didn't floss. And I just thought, gosh, if they could just spend a minute a day flossing, maybe I could have a shot at keeping up with my own patient's health. But most patients weren't flossing. And so I became totally obsessed with this problem. And it was actually 2012 when I started to chip away at it, but I didn't make a lot of traction because I was so busy with my hands in people's mouths, working as efficiently as I could. But it was in 2014 that I was finally able to pivot my sister, Kat, away from a business that she was starting to get us together create this oral care brand.
Kat, what were you doing?
I know. It's funny. Walking here through Brooklyn, I was reminded of my original startup idea because I think there was like a Brooklyn art fair that we came to. But CocoFloss actually started as an art platform. Who would have thought?
Wow.
But the idea was to create an online platform for commissioning original art.
Oh, wow.
So, I was essentially hoping to create a marketplace just to help artists move their art and for people to get art online and be able to connect.
Better discovery.
Yeah, discover it and connect with original art and hear the stories. That was the original idea, but
it had nothing to do with
it didn't work. Nothing worked. I worked on that for 6 months, and pivoted.
She created a little name for herself.
It was a tough pivot.
She was written up in the San Francisco Chronicle. We hosted this event where there was, I would say, 100 people there.
Yeah,
there were artists showing their art. And they were hopeful that Kat would help them find buyers.
I mean, so I think what I learned from that is when you're building a marketplace, obviously there's supply and demand, and there are a lot of artists looking for help with representation, looking for maybe alternatives to the gallery model because galleries take such a big commission and it's hard to get gallery representation. But unfortunately, on the demand side, I learned that the number of people who are interested and willing to pay for bespoke original art is very limited. So it was just really, really hard. I remember sometimes just like taking the bus in San Francisco or the BART and like looking around thinking about who would actually be in the market for original art. And given just the price point of original art, it's like, wow, it's a small market and it seemed tough. So I worked in that for 6 months and I was only able to sell one painting, and it was a portrait that I cherish to this day. It's our dogs, Mona and Dolce, in watercolor by a fabulous artist. But my dad purchased it. So
it's still a purchase. That's
Hey,
fine.
Yeah, one purchase.
Maybe someone will be able to do it eventually. I also think too, it's like, you know, San Francisco is such obviously an artistic city.
Yeah.
So I think growing up in it, maybe we become a little biased on, you know, what people are really interested in, because the type of person that lives in San Francisco or a big metropolitan city isn't necessarily representative of a large market. So I totally get it. It's an incredible idea. I hope one day it is created, maybe. But I know that you're also kind of the finance and creative side of COCOLAB. So tell us a little bit of that. Were you an artist originally? Is that how you came up with this marketplace?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd say I feel like everyone's really an artist, like at our core.
I don't know. I felt art in 6th grade. I'm not sure if I'm
not an artist,
I had to go to
but
summer
I'm very
school
creative.
Art. I love art, though. I can appreciate art a
everyone
lot.
has creativity, or we all start as creators, right, as kids. So I don't know what it means to be a professional artist, but I do enjoy painting. I grew up oil painting, and I just always loved art and creating things and colors and designs. So yeah, that's
You're skilled, Catherine. I mean,
like you're creative.
She's good. I mean, in kindergarten, she drew this.
Oh, thank you,
This
Chrystle.
very like lifelike.
Only a family member would speak to the goose I drew at 5 years old.
No,
Chrystle,
it was
thank you. You're
beautiful. Like it was.
I mean,
we
look.
love this.
I mean, a goose is like really hard to draw. Can we talk about that?
Yes.
I could not draw a goose right now if you paid me $1 billion. Like, I promise you, it would not look like a goose.
Well,
and a 5-year-old doing it, that's a hard draw. I think that's really impressive.
Exactly. It was a standout. So in the yearbook that year, her goose was in the middle of the page of all the kindergarten art because it was the standout, the most lifelike.
Yeah.
No, this is very big sister energy.
Such big
I
sister
still
energy.
feel like that is a skill I still want at some point in my life, or like my next career. I really want to lean into that more because, you know, you do have some like natural talents, and we're all like multifaceted as humans,
For
right?
sure.
There's different talents we lean into at different times. But yeah, I do have always loved art. I love doodling, drawing. But I did, you know, through school and in my first careers, I started my career in finance. So yes, I'm like this mashup of like analytics and art.
Yeah, I mean that's really perfect for, you know, starting a company with a dentist, and as you know, COCOLAB is so beautiful, and you're really making a mundane product beautiful, and really wanting to make, you know, bring colors and just making like a more fun product.
Truly mundane. Could you imagine if someone redesigned toilet paper this way?
maybe that's next.
I mean, like, oh yes, someone did, right?
Yeah. But so you were, so it's 2012.
It is an unlikely mashup. Yeah.
Right.
So it was 2012, and I had this art startup, and unfortunately, I decided I needed to pivot. It was actually, I think, a day I brought my sister to a conference room in San Francisco, and we mapped out everything I had learned about the art market, what I had tested, who my thesis was on who potential customers were, what problem I was solving, and ultimately we just realized, you know what, this opportunity is too small, or from everything I've learned, this isn't there, it doesn't exist, I need to pivot. But I still wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to create something new. And Chrystle at the time was slaving away as a dentist, so she took the whiteboard marker and she started writing down all of her issues with dentistry. And her top frustration at the time was that her patients weren't flossing. And I thought it was such a terrible and lame and just as we say, mundane problem, right? We were in San Francisco at the time, the heart of tech, circa 2012.
Oh my God. It was
2012.
like,
This was 2014, this conversation, by the way.
Fine. People were talking about the Internet of Things. So I kept telling her, maybe we need to look at like devices to change behavior from a technological or an application layer level. But she was
she wanted to
rather adamant that there was just a problem with floss itself as existed, because she didn't have a floss that she felt really excited about recommending to her patients, or one that really worked well. So getting started working together, the initial process was her convincing me to actually look at this with her, and to like, you know, I had to figure out, like, is this a real problem? How many people care about it? And so I looked into it.
I mean, she basically instantly rejected me on this. But then we took to the streets of San Francisco, literally, and we would just talk to everybody we encountered about their teeth and about their dental experiences and about oral care. And then through that, Kat finally got convinced.
Yeah. And I think I was 27 at the time. So, you know, I was still clubbing in San Francisco, like going out. But then, like, with all my friends, became that person who was asking everyone about their flossing habits. Because I was just kind of curious, like, is there really an opportunity here? I was like, oh, like, curious, like, How do you feel about floss? Do you floss? And I learned quite quickly that, as Chrystle knew from her experience as a dentist, that so many of my friends in their 20s were really frustrated with their oral health. I had friends who had mentioned they had had multiple gum surgeries.
Wow.
2 of her best friends had gum surgery. She
Yeah,
didn't even
and
know.
these are people like in their
That's really
mid,
young.
I know, in
mid-
her
20s.
20s, yeah.
Yeah. Most of my friends had multiple cavities filled. And for so many people, they knew they should be flossing more, but they weren't for some reason. And it was like this thing where it's like, I know flossing could help, but for some reason or other, I'm just not doing it. So it's like there was this paradox or incongruence there. And so I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, let's kind of keep looking into that. And I realized to the extent that there was so much pain behind oral care, it's like, really, maybe this is worth looking into. So that's when we teamed up, and that was really how COCOFloss was born.
Yeah, so you started out as COCOFloss, right? That was your main product.
Well, to be honest, we started as Coco Box. So we thought we wanted to be a subscription box containing the whole suite of oral care products. But really, the floss problem was so big in and of itself, we had to then shed the box and just focus
we
on
also
the floss
bootstrapped for 10,
And
so that was,
boxes were also really hot at that
They
time.
were.
Like, I feel like there was like Stitch Fix.
Yeah.
And
it
like,
was
there
Dollar Shave Club,
merch box.
And like all of there were a ton of them.
Yeah.
And when it was
feel
the
like
era of
right
the
around that
viral
time.
videos, back when viral
Totally.
videos were still a thing on YouTube. With,
and like lots of subscription consumer products. I feel like that was super hot. So that makes sense. Is Coco because of your 2 names?
Actually, it's because there's coconut oil in our floss.
Oh my gosh.
And our toothpaste.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, cute. So I guess it serves purposes.
Yeah.
Love. I mean, that makes sense. So you started Coco Box, you pivot to Coco Floss.
Yep.
Focus.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's like 2015,
Yep.
I'm assuming.
Yep.
Also, how long did you bootstrap for?
10 years.
all of until the last.
It's been less than a year since we raised our Series A.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank
especially
you.
with a consumer product. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's impressive.
I feel like I've lived multiple
I don't know.
lives.
Yeah.
I do feel like I've lived so many lives being an entrepreneur, you know? Yeah.
And when you guys launched, were you still working at your practice as a dentist?
I was.
Okay.
I continued to practice pretty much full time until the pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's also okay.
Yeah.
Wild. Also, I know your mom's a dentist.
Yes.
Did she have thoughts on this as an idea? Was she ever, kind of working with you guys too?
She has always been our biggest cheerleader,
Oh,
I would say. Yeah. She still is today. It's
She's
really
also my
sweet.
dentist, though, and noted I did not grow up flossing. And so part of
That's
why,
true.
again, I thought this was such a silly idea was I didn't floss at the time. My gums were bleeding. I had tons of cavities.
Yeah.
And it's rather normalized. Like what
Really
I'm
normal.
sharing was like
Mhm.
fairly normal. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of what I learned in process of looking at this with Chrystle. I was like, oh, you're really onto something. Yeah, obviously. Dentists know this. It's no
Yeah.
Like if
secret.
you meet someone
Every
who's never had a
dentist
cavity,
know
you're
this, and this is
You're
a
like,
lecture we
yeah,
get from
It's
our
like
exactly,
someone
dentists
right?
all the
in the
time.
ER or something. You're
Right.
Like, are you okay? Like,
Right.
I go, did your
Yeah.
parents not allow you to have sugar? Like,
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
I know.
That's amazing. And at what point did you kind of fully launch the product? And you were originally D2C as well, but I know you're now in retail. So maybe talk about that journey a little
Yeah.
bit too.
Yeah. So we launched Coco Floss in 2015.
Okay.
And I want to say, I feel like it was in the summer, but we'll never really remember the exact date of when we launched it.
Yeah. And
You're like, it's a blur.
I remember it was the summer of 2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we launched with Coco Floss, which for people who don't know is a really fibrous and textured floss. So
Okay.
the leading floss at the time, and actually continuing until today, is Glide. And it's a smooth, flat tape. But really with floss, the goal is to mechanically debride plaque off your teeth. And plaque is a really sticky biofilm that's bacteria and carbohydrates, and they form this matrix that's really stubborn. So you really want something with texture. So that's Coco Floss. It's a really textured and fibrous floss. But yeah, we launched in 2015 on Squarespace.
Amazing.
And we
Very
took pre-orders too
Okay.
with an app. I don't know if they're still around, called Try Celery, but of course, yeah, it was very incremental, I'd say, building this business because being bootstrapped, we didn't have $1 in marketing. So we really relied on word of mouth growth and just Chrystle. It was great. Chrystle had fairly recently. Were you 6 years out of dental school, something like that?
Yeah, I was 6 years out of dental school.
Yeah.
Wow,
I
so
basically
you,
just
were never an employed dentist. You literally went from being out of dental school and then an entrepreneur. Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I worked. Yeah. I mean,
that's pretty impressive.
Well, I guess, all dentists are kind of entrepreneurs because we're all kind of just like, we graduate dental school with these dental degrees and abilities to help people with their teeth. We actually don't know how to do business. No one ever, we go to business school. We're just kind of like flung into it and then we have to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why private equity buys all these offices.
I know, right? It's kind of crazy that, like, dentists are trained as medical professionals, but then upon graduation, unless you join like group practice, you need to figure out, okay, what's my customer acquisition? How do I get customers to come back? How do I handle the billing, the taxes, everything, staff management? Like, so much to learn, really.
Yeah. And how did you guys like deal with all that? Like, obviously you had the artistic background, you had the dentistry background, but how did you, manufacture your first product? What was that process like? How did you know how to, start a company?
Yeah. So starting the company part felt like the easy part to me because I'd already done it myself, starting my dental practice. And so basically it was just rinse and repeat. You create your corporation and you create your EIN and you do all the, get all the licenses and whatnot. And then with regards to actually creating the product, it wasn't super elegant at the time. It was very much a brute force method. We kind of just, we thought, all right, we want a scrubbier floss. We want it to be thicker. We want it to be comfortable, easy to hold. We wanted to have coconut oil on it. And we just basically like checked out every possible material there was to see what we could use in between teeth that would lift plaque out of teeth. And eventually we came across this one material that we then iterated on with our supplier, and that's how Coco Floss was born, basically.
Yeah. I mean, starting companies is a lot easier than you realize. There are manufacturers that exist, and if you have a design idea, you can shop it around to a manufacturer. They usually have an MOQ, so of course we started with the minimum order quantity, got an order in, and the challenge, I think the biggest challenge, of course, is making those first sales, right? Yeah. And then for any entrepreneur, figuring out before you have any profit or even revenue, how do you support yourself in that process? So it is a schlep, I will say. It's a schlep for anyone starting a company. It is a grind.
Yeah, especially to bootstrap it, right? But I mean, obviously you guys did it in a really intentional way. The thing about bootstrapping, keeping lean, is you have to be very disciplined, right? Especially when you are starting this company, when it was like the height of VC money. I feel like it was a really different fundraising environment than we are in today. So I think very impressive that you made that choice.
Yeah.
And were able to continue it for so long. And okay, so you create this floss, it goes out into the market, you launch it, and then what happens next?
That's a good question. Well, it's a lot of, I'd say, rinse and repeat, but I think again, how quickly you scale very much is a function of how big is your bugle, right?
Yeah.
And so we did it really in a like door to door, think like we're selling Girl Scout cookies. Like we were basically calling all of Crystle's friends from dental school. So we basically I was running a call center for my house.
I'm sure.
Just like, and we learned our playbooks for how to handle different sorts of sales talk tracks.
We taught ourselves how to do sales.
People's different concerns would be like, oh, it's too expensive. How do we address that concern? Or like, oh, I'm worried it's too thick for my patient's teeth. We basically like just kind of had this
FAQ document.
We started calling people and sampling people. And because the product's great, actually, like so much growth just that worked, actually. We were able to convert people through sampling and through calling. And then the product just continued to grow word of mouth. But one thing we've always really leaned on being bootstrapped is that idea of how do you create and ship an experience that's so great that the product can sell itself? Because we didn't have money we didn't have any money, right, for advertising. So we really needed to ship out experiences that were just like, wow. So actually we did.
I wrote a lot of handwritten notes.
Something that was also very tedious and time consuming was the fulfillment, actually. So I think in the early days, probably the first 5 years of the company, I probably spent 75% of my time doing fulfillment. And that's like, wrapping packages and
shipping it and tracking it and people calling like, where's my
package? That was a real learning skill for me because I'm not naturally like, some people like to make tidy bows and are like really zen. And Yeah.
Not her forte.
No, for sure. Not a skill of mine either.
Not a skill of mine,
I
naturally.
can barely wrap a gift to Christmas.
Yeah.
It's like real rough. So I understand. And were you originally targeting other dentists, I guess, and like kind of relying on them to promote it to their patients?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we're just figuring like what's the most efficient way to reach potential customers. Well, most people see their dentist twice a year. And I think when you're launching a product, it's also worth really valuable to think about who do you think cares about the problem you're solving the most, who's feeling the most pain, because those are the people who are most likely to evangelize your product and help you sell it. So yeah.
And this was really like before the social media boom too, right? So like you weren't relying on like influencer marketing,
No, I don't think that
education
existed.
piece.
Yeah.
I think that was really hard to do.
There
Yeah.
was, I mean, Instagram was a thing already.
Yeah.
And so, we were using hashtags.
Mm.
I mean, very like OG hashtags. And we created our own little campaign. We called it Coco Floss with Me. And we would take pictures of Coco Floss all over the world. We would ask our friends to do it too. And they would tag it Coco Floss with Me or Jet Set Coco Floss.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so we were kind of creating reasons for people to go out and photograph their floss in various places.
And at the time, people don't do that on Instagram anymore. But at the time, Instagram was new enough where people were excited to do that. Like Chrystle had patients who were heli skiing with Coco Floss.
Yes.
Taking Coco Floss to, I don't know, Antarctica? It's been all around the world, this product, I will say.
Yeah.
But that was a different era for Instagram, right? When the platform was so new and people would be excited to like post with products, say hashtag this, right?
Totally.
The platform's changed a lot now.
Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, people, there just weren't like mega influencers like there are now.
Right.
I feel like people were just very much like,
true.
it was your own friends and it's just different.
Very different.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun actually, because if you look at our Instagram, you can really see the whole story, right? Because the entire history is there from day one, the first post.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cute, actually. And at what point did you feel like, okay, obviously the product continues to grow and you're continuing to sell? At what point you were like, wow, this is a really good product and this is like working, basically? Where you're like, that we have something.
I
Kind
feel
of.
like you go first.
I have a really early one and I also have a really recent one.
Oh,
So
okay.
my early one is when, so Goop used to actually be more like a blog. It didn't have like an e-commerce piece to it. And I guess the Goop beauty editor, likely with the blessing of Gwyneth Paltrow herself, they did a feature article on Coco Floss.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's huge.
That was in 2016.
And Goop was super cool then. I mean, still
It
is,
still is,
but
yeah,
it
but
was,
it's
like,
different
so
now.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. There's like a lot of cachet, right? It was very like
And
in the
I just
know.
cold emailed Gwyneth's assistant back then. But I think also when you're starting, like just try everything, right? You
Totally.
tried so many things. You don't know what's going to stick. But I will say that
that
cold
was
email did really pay off.
well, because then she got an address and then
Yeah.
we shipped samples multiple times. Eventually somebody wrote back saying, "Oh, she likes it. Can you send more?"
Wow.
Did your sales
Yes.
skyrocket once?
No, not really, but I think also
That definitely really felt like a pivot point,
Yeah.
I'd say, because of the influence and cachet,
Recognition.
of Goop and
yeah, because then I think there's this woman, Jessica Richards. She had this store here in Brooklyn called Shen Beauty, and I think she had a say in placing us in Anthro as well. Do you remember that?
Cool.
Yeah. So that was
yeah.
also really pivotal for us.
Yeah.
So that moment was really when you were D2C and then you were exploring, okay, maybe retailers. So
Yeah.
was Anthro your first retailer?
Yeah.
I think it might have been, if not like there was one hotel we sold to in Scottsdale that took us.
Oh wow, that's
Very
that's
cool.
an interesting.
Yeah.
That's a smart
Yeah.
strategy.
We were-
honestly.
Honestly, really very opportunistic. So again, like being bootstrapped, we ran the company super lean. And we just kind of wanted to be able to say yes to as much stuff as opportunities came to us. So it's pretty neat in that like all of the retail partners we established were inbound. So,
Yeah.
Anthro came in, I don't know, word of mouth, inbound.
Yeah, it was inbound. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Everybody came.
Most of them
Who
were
did we
inbound.
pitch?
Yeah.
So it wasn't really like in your strategy to be like, oh, let's go into retailers, kind of very organic in that
It was
way.
organic. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say we spent a lot of time just swimming. So again,
Yeah.
a lot of lessons learned bootstrapping a company, but like your hands are kind of tied because like we'd get a big order and then who's fulfilling it? Well, it's me, Then I was like, okay, there goes that time. We're like,
Your customer service, your like
I mean, honestly,
R&D.
we made some great initial hires. Our first hire was
Trisha.
in our warehouse, our fulfillment.
It wasn't a
lead,
warehouse
and-
yet. It was a room.
Yeah, but we worked really.
a tiny room.
Our
with no
room
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess with retail or with bigger orders, you have a spike in demand and you need to be able to like staff up labor. Ideally, we just weren't that sophisticated or sophisticated
Yeah, you weren't
yet.
there yet. You were
We
growing.
weren't there yet. Yeah.
And it was just the one product even when you got
It was just the
into
one
Anthro,
product.
right?
Yeah.
And then when did you kind of think that you wanted to grow beyond just floss? And when was the name change also?
So we always wanted to go beyond floss because remember we started as Cocoa Box.
Yeah.
And the name change happened just a year ago, or maybe it's 2 years. It's a blur now, but it's 1 or 2 years ago. It was fairly
Pretty
recent.
recent.
Yeah, maybe it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but
up until then, you only had floss.
No. So in 2021, we launched our toothbrush.
Oh.
It was greatly delayed because of the pandemic because our toothbrushes are made in Switzerland, and we also source the plastic for the handles from Southeast Asia from this company called Oceanworks. They collect like food grade plastic that has otherwise would end up in the oceans because these places don't have formal waste management. So they call it ocean bound plastic because it would have ended up in the ocean based on the location of these places. So so anyways, between challenges of moving the resin to Switzerland and having our brushes shipped from Switzerland to the United States and the pandemic and all of the things that happened that year, our toothbrushes were delayed by like a year.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how did you decide for your second product to be a toothbrush, and what was that process?
Yeah. That's, I was so busy doing dentistry and my sister would just keep bugging me about making more products.
Yeah, well, the original vision was always to be Cocoa Box, but of course, being bootstrapped, you can only invest once you have some profit of some sort or some budget to reinvest. So it took I think at least 5 years before we can even turn our attention to, oh, hey, actually, we have a real business here. Let's think about building out the routine.
Yeah.
Flossing and brushing kind of are best friends. And so naturally we just felt like that was kind of what was needed. So Chrystle worked on the design of the toothbrush. And then of course, we've always wanted to just own that routine.
So our toothpaste came in September 2023.
Wow. And obviously, I mean, unlike brushing your teeth, like I feel like flossing was something no one was flossing at all. Right. So I feel like it was more, I mean, there's like an easier and harder way to acquire a customer, right? Because they're not flossing at all. They should be, this is like something maybe they're willing to try because they think they're trying to floss, right? Versus toothbrush. I mean, there's a million and more toothbrush options. Yeah. Right. So were you really offering it to current customers? Was it a way to like expand your customer base because maybe more people are willing to try a toothbrush versus a floss? What was kind of your thought around that?
Yeah, so I think one, we knew we wanted the whole suite of products. And two, we did have customers consistently asking for additional products from us, initially, namely a toothbrush. So that's what we started with. And it really was like a repeat customer type of purchase. I wouldn't say that the toothbrush drew in new customers necessarily, but the people who try it, they love it.
Not yet.
Okay, yeah,
we're still working on it. It's a great toothbrush.
I
will say, but to your point, it was a very tricky one because it's a very crowded category.
Yeah.
But toothbrushes are kind of like sneakers. So many of them have so many bells and whistles, and I think often consumers are left a bit confused. Like, do I need the one with the fancy rubber neck and handle, these bristles, those bristles? But anyways, we decided to go back to the drawing board, and I always start by asking Chrystle, hey, like if you had your dream toothbrush, what need would it fill that doesn't exist today? And so
so I basically designed my dream toothbrush, and the great thing is that dental professionals, when they see it and they feel it and they use it, they're like, this is a toothbrush I've been looking for my entire career. So much that there's even a dental hygienist who tattooed it on herself.
Oh my God.
Because it is, it's real. Yeah.
Well,
because it's really designed with like correct, ideal toothbrushing technique in mind.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Yeah. I know,
well,
right?
basically like, okay, so, all right, so all of our plaque is in between our teeth and along the gum line, but most of us are using toothbrush bristles that are too hard to brush along the gum line. So we skip our gum line altogether. So this toothbrush was designed to not brush just your teeth, but your gum line as well.
Okay.
And it's really good at cleaning in between your teeth. So it's soft and gentle enough to be able to clean along your gum line comfortably and clean, the plaque that sits at your gum line.
Someone's about to say you should brush your gums, not just your teeth.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the issues tend to accumulate. And so the bristles are like really fine and multi-tiered. So they're really designed to sweep under the gum line. Yeah, and
you ever go to the dental hygienist and you're like wondering why are they picking along my gum line because it's so sensitive there, and it's because that's where all of our plaque is.
Yeah, no, totally.
But we're not brushing there.
Right.
Yeah,
that's bad. Is it? I've always been told I'm supposed to use an electric toothbrush. Is that a lot? Like, is it an electric toothbrush?
Electric toothbrushes are great, and so we do have our same toothbrush bristle design on an electric brush head.
Okay, got it. That's awesome.
And I really love the sustainability aspect of actually manufacturing the toothbrushes. Was that really important to you when you were
That was really important.
thinking
I
about
will
it?
say every time we birth a new product, I lose sleep because I think about, the impact of
the environment,
consumerism or production. So that was one where we looked at, the handle, unfortunately, it is plastic, but we evaluated bioplastics, castor oil-based handles,
evaluated bamboo,
a variety of materials. But then we found this company called Oceanworks, as Chrystle mentioned. We just loved how it really felt like a truly circular story. Like, yes, we're creating a new handle, and there is an end-of-life challenge there just because it is hard to recycle plastics. But we do know that this company is actively removing waste that most likely would unfortunately end up in waterways. And
and I think that's really important for the modern consumer. Like, obviously everyone needs to brush your teeth, but because there's so many options,
I know we do need to
that's
brush
very
our
important.
teeth.
right?
Yeah,
it's really important.
And then why coconut oil in your floss? Is there like a scientific reason?
So this actually goes back to my patients and also Gwyneth Paltrow. So
Love her.
First, maybe I could probably credit Gwyneth Paltrow to start. So she was starting to talk about coconut oil pulling and all the outlets that people would interview her on before. And so it became trending. So my patients were coconut oil pulling, but they still weren't flossing. So coconut oil pulling, if you've never done it, it actually takes a good amount of time. It's supposed to take 20 minutes. So isn't that just kind of mind-boggling?
That's actually a really long time,
isn't it?
Honestly, if you do it every day, I feel like
really
that's actually
long time.
Long time.
Exactly. So I had patients, really like firmly, like fiercely, say like, I do not want to floss. I'm not interested, but I will coconut oil pull. And I'm like, cool, great. I would love it if you could do both, because what I would do is I would use plaque disclosing agent, which is kind of like a coloring on people's teeth to show them where their plaque was. And I would show them like, I love that you're coconut oil pulling, but this is where all your plaque is, and so I need you to floss too. And so then I decided, well, what if we made a floss with coconut oil on it? And that's also why it was really of interest to us to get our Cocoa Floss into the hands of Gwyneth Paltrow herself, because we knew she kind of had a thing for coconut oil.
Okay, that makes sense. So it was also like, obviously a great like branding like strategy too, of course.
Yeah. And coconut oil has lauric acid in it, which is an antimicrobial.
Amazing.
And I guess it's part of an ancient Ayurvedic oral microbiome health technique. So, we figured there are enough people who swear by it. And it turns out to serve as a great ingredient with our wax to really just make the floss really
smooth.
Yeah, smooth and
probably.
Yeah,
that makes sense. And I'm assuming the floss is like faster with your floss, right? It's like the idea is like faster than more of a traditional floss and like softer on your teeth.
Yeah. It's softer and it's really grippy and scrubby, so it lifts plaque out from in between your teeth. Have you guys ever used like a Biore nose strip? I don't know if I'm
totally.
Myself. Okay. So you know how you have that like satisfaction of seeing those things on the strip after you take it off? Same thing with the Cocoa Floss. You use it and you're like, oh, gross.
It's
so
satisfying.
Gross.
Yeah.
And you're like,
so
okay, let's go get more.
Or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So and it is, I had it tested against like the leading floss in a lab, of course, just to measure plaque removal efficacy. And it is 4 times more effective at plaque removal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great stat.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I know obviously you've experienced some really recent tons of growth, like 177% over the past 3 years, year over year, something like that. You're in the Fortune 500 like fastest growth companies, etc., which is really impressive considering you've been around for 10 years and then experienced this huge spike of growth. And I know you're in retailers, etc. What's next for COCOLAB? Where are you guys going?
Well, actually, I think, it's so funny. It seems like we've been doing this for so long, yet it also feels like we're really just beginning.
Yeah.
Because the market really is so big, the potential reach, right? Who has teeth how many people struggle with gum disease.
50% really, of adults we learned today, which is a crazy stat.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the market opportunity is just huge. And, we just launched in Target this year.
Congratulations.
We have some additional retailers we're really excited to announce soon. In Target, we launched with our Floss. So, of course, we would love to get eventually our toothpaste and our toothbrush in there. But we want to just continue to, grow with our partners. And we want to continue to innovate. And really, the promise of COCOLAB is to deliver products that perform. So like Chrystle said, flosses that can, just do better than what's on the market, 4 times more effective than leading floss. And to marry that with really just joyful experiences. Because we really don't think that oral care should be a chore or be that dreaded part of your routine. But we really want to just make it fun and make it more rewarding. And of course, sustainability is that other core pillar.
Yeah. You've been running this company for over 10 years. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned and something that you would have known 10 years ago?
You go.
I have to think about that one. Sorry, I didn't prepare in advance.
No, all good.
Biggest lesson.
Or anything that surprised you, throughout
maybe
your
something
journey.
I've learned about building companies, like you have to keep up leveling yourself because as an entrepreneur, you start with an idea, a product thesis, hopefully that's successful. But the process of building and scaling a company requires so much learning about how you interact with other people, about how to run different processes, about what is your innovation philosophy, how do you relate to people, and how do you relate to the world around you? Because ultimately your shipping experience is sharing that with people, but there's so much growth required. So I think maybe it's just like really try to enjoy the journey and realize that there will be so many challenges thrown at you, but each challenge is really part of your opportunity to grow the company and to also kind of just grow as a person.
Yeah, I guess like being okay with ambiguity, because obviously you started out as, art marketplace to Cocoa Box to Cocoa Floss to Lab.
Yeah.
And you can still do it.
Yeah.
And you guys are obviously sisters. How has it been starting and work a company with your sister and working together all this time?
It's so fun for me because before, when she was banking, she had no free time. So now, like a work trip is a sister's trip, and it's really fun. Like we choose to share hotel rooms when we don't need to, for example.
Sleep over to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, it's so amazing to see you guys have like grown together and grown this incredible company. It's obviously had such a positive impact, I think, on so many of our teeth and health. This has been a great episode. Thank you so much. We always end on this question. We have a lot of young listeners. We are wondering just what advice would you give a young person looking to start their own company?
For me, it would be to know your why and why you're doing it, because if you have a really, really strong purpose, it will carry you through various iterations of the product that you're creating and through all the hardships. For me, I would say too, like when I chose to be a dentist, it was because I really wanted to help people and I really care about people's oral health and helping them achieve these healthy, happy smiles. Of course, my career has taken a path that I didn't expect, and I'm no longer treating my patients one-on-one, and I miss that part of it. But what makes it all okay is that I'm still in pursuit of the same purpose and that I'm still helping people achieve healthier smiles and helping people one-on-one, just kind of not with my hands in their mouth.
You're helping them different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar. Back when I was starting Enzoar and I was going around San Francisco asking people for advice on starting a company, someone just told me, create something that the world really needs, like something that really needs to exist. Ultimately, when you're creating something, you're taking everyone's energy, the Earth's resources, and birthing something new. And that comes with, like, why are you really doing that? And I think to Crystle's point, building a company is really hard, and there'll be really, really terrible moments. And having a real purpose is what will get you through that. And I think for entrepreneurs, you just recognize there will be really, really tough times. And you just ride through it and remember your purpose, hopefully. And hopefully that'll get you through.
Very inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you both for being here. Where can we find you guys and COCOLAB?
Yeah, so you can shop COCOLAB products at COCOLAB.com. We're also on Amazon and now at Target. And we are also at CVS and Credo Beauty and Anthro, a lot of other retailers as well.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. We absolutely love your product and what you're building together. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We are Womansplain Pod on all socials, and email us hello@womansplainpod.com for any questions. And bye, COCOLAB.
Bye.
Thank you.